I'd like to reconvene the City Council meeting to order.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Carl Baker and I will be reading roughly 28 public comments. 20 of them are general comments, and we will be providing the comments related to the ordinance 2922, which you just mentioned was going to be pulled, but we are reading those comments into the record. Charles Mendoza. Carol Brown is my sister. She has been married to Gil Brown over 50 years. She was born in Redlands and raised in North Redlands. Lagonia Homes, Brockton Homes, Lincoln School. They both know the value of hard work and together accomplished the majority of their goals, even helping us siblings. Gil has always been a stickler for the letter of the law and meeting any deadlines set. After approximately 20 years, I find it thought-provoking the city wanted to slam the door on them. Please reconsider. Penny Schwartz, I'm contacting you to please save Coyote Aviation, a small business built from scratch by my children's former sixth grade teacher. It would mean a lot to us in the community if this business could be left to flourish. Small family-owned businesses like this are the backbone of our community, like Redlands. Please allow the lease to be renewed. Thank you. Elizabeth Edelman, I am for renewal of the lease with Coyote Aviation. This is a locally owned, minority-owned, and hand-built enterprise. The owners have lived their entire lives in our city. They have raised their children here. They spent their careers in service to the children of our community. Coyote is a well-managed, well-kept asset to our airport and city. You have all stated your support, small local businesses. Please keep your word. We need to feel we can trust you with our city. Eva Saliba. 21 years ago, I received a call from my husband, George. He was at the Redlands Municipal Airport with his friend, Gil Brown. They were watching the beautiful sunset, listening to the howls of distant coyotes, and discussing dreams of having their own aircraft hangars. George asked if we could join Gil and his wife, Carol, in building hangars at the airport. Recognizing the joy and determination in his heart, I agreed without hesitation. Coyote Aviation has come to be so much more than just a building. It's a community of owners, renters, and businesses. Good friendships were made. Wonderful days have been spent there with family and friends. The Coyote Breakfast Club allowed our 5-year-old granddaughter, now a teenager, to join Grandpa on flights for breakfast. Coyote Aviation has been a toy collection center for Toys for Tots, a place for watching air shows and fireworks on the 4th of July, and more. So much living took place at Coyote Aviation. So many warm memories have been made. Now all that is threatened by the city's actions. Don't you realize how many lives will be negatively affected by your decision not to continue our lease agreement? Preserving our small minority-owned business will honor your constituents. We at Coyote Aviation know it, and most community members know it. There is no doubt in my mind that you know it too. Anita Mendoza, I am writing in support of Coyote Aviation. As a federal grantee, it boggles my mind that the city, my hometown, has targeted a minority-owned business that my sister, brother-in-law, and their partners own. It is antithetical to the intention of a federal grantee, and it is unbelievable that this is happening in my hometown. There have been many letters in support that more adequately discuss the reasons why this decision is ludicrous. I write to express my sincere personal disappointment that Redlands has chosen to treat lifelong citizens this way. Shame. Bill Ingram. I am a retired airport consultant and prior Oklahoma City Deputy Director of Airports and San Bernardino County Director of Airports. The City of Redlands, as a sponsor of Redlands Airport, has received significant federal funding in the form of FAA grant funds. The FAA provided the grants with assurances accepted by the City Council action that are intended to ensure the operation of the airport in the best interest of the public. Grant Assurance number 22, titled Economic Non-Discrimination, provides in Subpart C that each fixed base operator at the airport shall be subject to the same rates, fees, rentals, and other charges as are uniformly applicable to all other fixed base operators making the same or similar uses of such airport and using the same or similar facilities. The FAA Airport Compliance Manual provides guidance for complying with grant assurances. Chapter 9, Subpart subpart 9.2.a of the manual stipulates that a sponsor must impose non-discriminatory and substantially comparable rates, fees, rentals, and charges on all air carriers and users that assume similar obligations, use similar facilities, and make similar use of the airport. Further, subpart 9.2.c states the sponsor must impose the same rates, fees, rentals, and other charges on similarly situated fixed base operators that use the airport, its facilities in the same or similar manner. It is common for elected officials not understanding these requirements to make decisions that jeopardize grant funding and, in extreme cases, initiate a requirement to repay grant funds. Delaney Castle-Claim. I would like to express my opposition to your decision to terminate the lease of Coyote Aviation at the airport. My entire childhood was spent in Redlands, and I still have many friends and family members living there, including the Brown family. I was also one of the many school children that was given the opportunity to participate in the Young Eagles program at Coyote Aviation. This business and its owners are so important to the people of Redlands. I urge you to reconsider your initial decision and work with this business to allow them to continue operating. I would expect the City of Redlands would want to support its citizens and small businesses, as so many have been impacted by the pandemic in the last year.
Bruce Buchler. As a Lake Arrowhead resident for over 30 years and husband to a wife who spent 22 years teaching in Mariposa School, and probably many of your children, I have always appreciated the maintenance of the Redlands heritage and commitment to community interest. The arts, social engagement of friendliness, culture, and propriety of keeping standards high without the necessary dollar value and greed of most areas spoiling that integrity. Coyote Aviation, Gil Brown, being one of those long committed to the above statements, now being challenged by a government not of integrity, but greed. It's sad to see the way of what representatives of this community have fallen to in wanting to take a legendary Redlands former educator and supporter of the Redlands Airport survival for so many years. David Wright. Let it be recorded that I am vehemently against the City of Redlands not renewing the lease for Coyote Aviation. The removal of the lease will stop this vital business from continuing to serve the local Redlands Municipal Airport patrons. That doesn't mean the city couldn't continue on the business services, but it would be abhorrent for them to do so. Coyote Aviation was begun by my teacher, my friend, my stand-in father during a critical period of my life, Mr. Gil Brown, and his wife, Carol. They have invested their lives and love in countless Redlands students like me, while he taught at Mariposa Elementary School. The Redlands Municipal Airport was vital to his teaching of all of us kids. He loved flying and loved teaching us why. He taught us aerodynamics, aviation, and took us on airplane rides. Gil used his business not just to support the thriving airport community, but also their retirement plans. Removing their lease and ending the legacy of Coyote Aviation is something the Redlands City Council should be ashamed of considering moving forward with. Please stop this senseless effort. Rather, look to see how you can enhance your partnership with Coyote Aviation to thrive. That would be a more profitable use of everybody's time and the right thing to do. Thank you for your sincere consideration of my request. Chris Karcher. I'm disappointed to hear that the City of Redlands is moving to evict Coyote Aviation from the Redlands Airport. For a city that prides itself on being investors in the future, it's alarming to see that we're building a future where our city takes advantage of small businesses. Evicting Coyote Aviation isn't just unethical, it will be bad for business. Reading through the Redlands Municipal Airport Business Plan, R.A. Weidman and Associates Incorporated, May 2016, the first strategic initiative recommended is a plan to strengthen the airport brand. As a community, are we comfortable with that brand being synonymous with unethical business practices and lack of transparency? Let's also consider how that brand will resonate with private investors. If our goal is to attract more business aviation over the next 5 years, as the report suggests, we should pursue then Coyote's aviation story will undoubtedly be surfaced when potential investors look into how Redlands works with private developers. Increasing airport revenue is an important outcome for our city to drive towards, but as the report suggests, we can pursue other opportunities that don't require evicting a 20-year tenant and beloved community member. Make no mistake, this move won't go unnoticed by members of our community, and the precedent it sets for future investors makes it a short-sighted decision. I strongly believe that City Council should reconsider the decision to evict Coyote Aviation. Alicia Andreessen, I am against the city's decision to not renew the lease for Coyote Aviation. 3 years ago, we rescued a black Labrador retriever from Kalispell. Montana. We had to fly her out of Montana by November 1st, or the pilots would not be able to return home due to snow and weather. Plus, all 3 pilots had to land back at their airport before sundown. We had 2 of the 3 pilots in pause, in place, but we needed a third. When Coyote Aviation, Gil and Carol, learned of our need for a third pilot, they volunteered immediately, even without being members of Pilots in Pause. They stepped up, and our Missy made her third flight from Utah to Redlands. By 4 p.m., all 3 pilots were safely wheels down before dark in each state. Gil, not being a member of PNP, received no compensation for time or fuel. He and his wife had to take off from Redlands by 5 a.m. to match the tightly orchestrated detail. And that takeoff time included his pre-flight checks. I made more than one attempt to try and compensate the Browns, and they refused. They wanted Missy to be safe in her forever home, and compensation was not a factor for them. They knew a dog needed rescuing, and that was their only concern. People like this don't come along every day. Aaron Poling Ellsbury, please save Coyote Aviation. The council members need to consider the voice of its residents in this matter. The owner is a pinnacle in our community with numerous supporters. He does not deserve what is happening to them. They are a small business and a large part of our community. Please save Coyote Aviation. Deanne Cooper, I am writing this letter to urge the Redlands City Council to stop the eviction of Coyote Aviation. The council should reconsider their decision because the taking of someone's property for the benefit of a government entity is not what this country was founded upon. You are there to serve the public, and you should be ashamed of yourself for even considering such action. I'm a pilot and was on the airport commission at a similar-sized airport in Oregon for 15 years. If anyone in our commission had even brought up the idea of confiscating someone's private property for the benefit of the city, they would have been immediately removed from the commission. You should be ashamed that you not only passed such a proposal, but did it unanimously. What were you thinking? If you put this out to a public vote, do you think anyone would vote for your confiscation of a well-maintained and income-producing private property? I have personally visited the site of Coyote Aviation, and it is the nicest building on the entire airport. Other hangars that are operated by the City of Redlands could learn a lot from Coyote Aviation and how to maintain and manage hangars at the Redlands Airport. I understand that Coyote Aviation has been an ideal tenant and has paid thousands of dollars in land leases for the benefit of Redlands over 20 years they have been there. I urge you to work with Coyote Aviation and renew the lease with them. Margaret Fuller, I write in support of Coyote Aviation, whose lease renewal is being considered. I am concerned that the City Council decided to terminate their lease. It has come to my attention that the terms of the lease were unclear and ambiguous. Therefore, the City Council needs to be proactive in seeking out how to continue to support local businesses, as well as developing the airport. The city employs talented attorneys who are experts at problem solving and applying equitable treatment. I respectfully request you reconsider the options. I believe that the City of Redlands' shop it forward policy is not being followed in this case. I refuse to believe that canceling their lease is the only option for the city. Since the city's motto is Redlands, a city that works, then certainly the city can make it work for this longtime small business owner.
J. Anna Beckett, I'm sure you've heard many letters of support testifying to Mr. Brown's character and support of Coyote Aviation. I'd like to add another. Mr. Brown deserves the right to continue to own and operate his business for the many years he spent molding the minds and hearts of young students in Redlands. Because of him, my husband grew up inspired by science and learning and has passed that on to our son. Yet another reason to reconsider. You'd be affecting the lives of people who love to fly. Aviators teach us to look up from the valleys of our everyday lives. They use their flying to support the community. We participate in the toy drive at the airport every year, and they remind us to hope and dream. They're part of the fabric that makes cities like ours special. Please reconsider and do all you can to help Coyote Aviation continue operating and inspiring.